Hello, my name is Chris, and today I'm going to review the BMW M4 2020 Cabriolet, a vehicle that BMW has created for those who want to cruise with the top down in the sun, not the case at this time of year in Canada. The 2020 is not currently on the Canadian configurator, so I used the 2019 info. This M4 is now 6 years old. That's a lot in car years, but the chunky design of M4 is still awesome. The rear wheel bulge is beautiful and probably the best of the non-Porsche 911 cars. Full disclosure, when this car came out, I attempted to reorganize my finances in all sorts of schemes in order to afford myself one, to no avail. I spent an hour with the M4 6 years later. Has it held up? The interior is a slick operation, business class, but not first class, and it is aging. There is a remarkable feel of purpose. The seats and the carbon fiber touches contribute to this. The M steering wheel is a joy to hold and contributes to the serious nature of M4. The right now feel of the brakes and the engine sound, which may not sound great but does sound loud and unhinged, berserk almost. I may have underappreciated this on my first drive. M4 surprised me because the last time I tried an M3 Coupe in 2012, it had more of a race car feel, whereas this M4 felt heavier and more brutal, more muscle car than race car. This being a cabriolet, you feel the weight when you drive. Only when you floor the gas do you realize the raw power this engine has. It was kind of incredible as the winter rear tires wrestled to put the power down. This car felt savage in a refined and rewarding way. Although awesome, the exterior is a bit dated, and so is the interior. I can just imagine how dated they will feel at the end of your lease. But the BMW quality is present in the interior, how everything feels tightly put together, and the M seatbelts and stitching is classy and a nice touch. The proper resistance when pushing buttons, when turning a knob. BMW are maniacs when it comes to the touch and feel of the different buttons and interfaces. You pay for the material science in M4 with things such as this snake-like carbon fiber brace. Lots of power means a stiffer body, better brakes, bigger wheels. It's not just a stronger engine. This is what you pay for. BMW is really funny about options, including a $24,500 Ultimate package. $24,500. This V6 twin-turbo engine is a star with 425 horsepower and 406 pounds of torque, and the 7-speed double-clutch transmission is Formula One fast, reads your mind, and the shifts feel assertive, and the whole thing does 14.5 liters in the city and 10.5 liters on the highway. After thinking about it, I love this engine despite how it sounds, and I must confess, any car over 400 horsepower should have four-wheel drive. Here are my thoughts on the road. Hello car lovers, driving the 2020 BMW M4 Cabriolet. That's a pretty nice pickup from Ross. Pretty good shot from BMW Canada. They're always good to Ross. I like BMW Canada. However, of course, that won't affect the review. And this car is not perfect, and I will go over why in a moment. It's very good, but it's not perfect. Let's start with the exterior styling. The exterior styling, this body type is 6 years old now. I remember at the Montreal Car Show, I believe in 2014, when this car came out, how I began to rethink all my finances. How could I squeeze every penny from my budget in order to get this car? And of course I didn't because, well, that's just my reality. So, what about this exterior styling? I remember at the time when this car came out, we loved the exterior rear wheel well, the way it bulged out. It was so well done. I think a lot of people are doing that now. Also, this car awkwardly has aged, in my opinion. When you look at the recent rivals, you think, wow, they're very competitive with BMW M design, which we couldn't say that maybe 10 years ago. It still looks very good on the outside. It looks very muscular, and this M car has really evolved. 10 years ago, M cars were more like race cars made for the road, and now I feel this M4 is more like a German muscle car in its character. When you start it up, it has a very loud exhaust. It shifts kind of rough. You can adjust that to make it shift rough. It feels very meaty, very chunky, and I really get a more of a muscle car feel, a very athletic, capable in corners muscle car, but nevertheless muscle car. And I think maybe that has to do with the fact that it's a cabriolet, and Ross informs me that this vehicle is 500 pounds more, and you feel the weight. You also hear cracks a little bit because, well, it's a two-door and it's a cabriolet, and it kind of like sometimes it rattles, which is completely normal, by the way, for this type of vehicle. Driving characteristics, all right? Well, when you drive this car fast, I drove it fast a little bit before, and the thing is that it feels very capable. However, you feel it's the engineering that gets things done in spite of its weight. It's kind of like, it's hard to describe. Like you feel it's going fast, you feel you're taking the curve hard and well. However, you feel that it's because you don't get that touchy-feely driver sensation. For example, I drove the Honda Civic Type R maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I can really tell the difference in terms of, like, yes, this performs a whole lot more, yes, this accelerates a whole lot more, but I just find in terms of that touchy feeling driving feel, it may not be quite that experience, which is why my argument is this is more muscle car than race car, and kind of not what the M division was all about before. And they've changed, and that's fine. I like muscle cars. The character of this vehicle is more Terminator than world-class athlete, if you want. A couple of remarks on this interior. The interior quality is excellent. The quality of the materials is top-notch. This steering wheel with these notches, you feel your money every time you touch or activate things in this vehicle. I'm very satisfied. What may be a little bit less satisfying is this interior is now 8 years old, and it wasn't front of the pack in 2012 when it came out. It was just very good. Today, I feel the design needs some work. I just drove the BMW 330, and the interior was better than this vehicle, and it costs half that. So it's kind of weird. These seats are incredible. The leather is incredible. M seats are wonderful. You pay a lot for M cars, but my God, the seats are incredible. They just are, and it makes the whole experience better. Another thing about this vehicle, which people tend to forget, is M3s were designed to be your only car. That is to say that you can live with this car every day, 12 months a year. Now, of course, it's a rear-wheel drive, and if you live in snowy conditions, that's problematic. But let's assume that, let's put that aside for a moment. I'm driving here in sport mode. I have everything in sport mode, and the suspension is actually bearable in the city of Montreal, which has some of the world's shitty roads, really horrible roads. I say it every week. I'm taking the roads very well. My back isn't hurting. I haven't lost any fillings. That's the difference, I think, between a hot hatch, which I've been driving the last 2 weeks, and a high-level suspension like this. It's really very steady in corners and can manage the weight very well. It doesn't feel sloshy. It doesn't feel like top-heavy or anything. Really planted. Really wonderful suspension and driving experience. So what are my thoughts about this vehicle? Well, the final thoughts are it is very good. It's really a wonderful driving experience. Refined toughness is, I think, the best characterization I can think of in terms of how this vehicle feels on the inside and how this vehicle looks on the outside. A note about the engine. The engine is explosive and wild. I really like that. However, the sound the sound is okay, and it does sound very loud when you gun it. However, it doesn't sound beautiful. It's not moving. This critique has been made to the M4 in the past. However, I have to say it again because it's 2020 now, and its competitors, I think, all sound better probably. And the hearing, what you hear when you're driving, is part of the driving experience. That's why people buy these vehicles. I mean, there's a reason why people who have $100,000 don't all run out and buy a Tesla Model 3, right? There's a reason for that. It's part of this immersive driving experience. So those are my thoughts. Tell me what you think in the comments. By the way, if you like this video, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. And if you really like it, if you find the 4K footage awesome, if you find my unscripted comments useful and interesting, these are really first impressions I'm giving you when I'm on the drive cycle. And if you like this format, well, you should subscribe. I come out with videos every week. They're in English and French, so when the French videos, if ever they appear in your news feed, just gloss over them. You don't have to click on it. And that is the review.